This episode of Speakers of Heidelin is made possible by our generous patrons. Special thanks to our supreme and master speakers, Omeji Cat Comet, Erisu Yamakawa, Alex Franco AV, Winebow Brood, Aurora Templeton, Psyche, Azuta Starbreeze, Cletus Oreo, Nina Grimstarter, Lily Black, Bob CZ, Mikta Rabentau, Anathos Moonscar, Pamela Isley, Elenreal Maximus, Coderith Novelist, Mira Miri, Celestau Notrell, Lazy Boy, Luke Osborne, Pandaloo, Storm Arrow, Tex, Kylin, Arthur Law, Barry Danderard, Cypup, Spencer Christmas, Noy Fafnir, Celine DeLune, Edwin, Webster Wolf, Severa, Circa Barrackhill, AJ Brainswords, and Cass Ram, Ventos Tia, Ryark Forbear, Late in the House, Tony, Arcadia Lunashine, Umbral Wind, Framboise Sakuro, Bergie, Fudge, and Zephiel. Support the show and become a patron today at patreon.com/SpeakersXIV. Thank you.
This is Speakers of Heidelin.
Good evening, Aorsians. Welcome to Speakers of Heidelin, episode 393. I am Lakil Bravestone, and I'm joined today by Georgi Wiston, Mela Vanadar, and Rolodes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hola. Oh my god.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's episode 3933.
Oh my god!
Wait, what's happened to the title?
Oh, God.
Oh dear. Welcome to the future, everyone. What?
It's lovely.
Yeah, it's the
God.
same.
At least
There's like sex talk.
So we live underwater.
At least it's not as...
Do you need me to step on your back?
Please.
Yeah, it's episode 3933. It is March 16th, 2024. Sorry for audio listeners. It's obviously 393. There's a typo in the overlay. I'll fix that while I'm talking. Today, we're going to go through a Yoshi-P interview. With not that publication, but what was it again?
Play magazine.
Play magazine.
Not Famitsu.
Not Famitsu, but we will talk about the Yoshi-P quote that's been going around about from a Famitsu interview. So we'll talk about that today. We'll also read your MogMail, speakersxiv.com/MogMail, and stay tuned for the post-show. We'll be reading a question from the Syndicate and unfortunately Pokemon. You'll hear a Windows sound briefly, I think, as I try to overwrite the overlay here. I don't know if that was audible on stream, but there we go. All right, yes. So stay tuned if you're watching live for questions from Syndicate and the Pokemon thing. We're almost at the end. It's almost over.
Yeah.
I will also say that there is now... We have made it an almost impossible to achieve sub-goal to get us to read the Titanic fanfiction. So there
I'm glad you put it that high up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Let's jump into recent events. Well. We'll start, of course, with the quote that's been going around from the Famitsu interview. Yoshi-P... it was said that Yoshi-P said that he was going to increase the difficulty of the game. And this is from a post on the subreddit where a translation was made implying, it was saying that he was saying this. I'll read the original post that was the cause of all this discourse. So, the headline is regrets over making 14 less stressful. Yoshida, reflecting on the fan festival, says the following: so from now on, we'll keep working to surprise players and go beyond what they imagine. But that reminds me of something I regret. As we've continued to operate Final Fantasy XIV, we've made the game more comfortable, a game you can play without stress. But looking back on the last 10 years, I'm thinking we've overdone that bit. Oh yeah, sorry, I should probably... Shimoda Shota, or Shu-chan? As Yoshi-P. Shota.
He would call him Shorchan.
Yeah, Shorchan.
That's how that would be pronounced.
Okay, so Shimoda says, what do you mean? Yoshida says, a video game should, of course, have an element of stress, but how to handle that properly is extremely difficult. Shimoda says, I can agree with that. Yoshida says, for example, in a side-scrolling game, if there aren't any holes you can drop down into if you miss a jump, of course, the game would lose its stress, but it would also lose its fun. Yoshida says, speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, I would like to restore that part a little bit. If we do that, we can give everyone a better challenge in a good way than ever before. Yoshi-P's intentions for his next game. Shimoda says, outside of 14, are there any other works you plan to direct in the future? Yoshida says, nothing is decided yet, but if I have the opportunity to work on a major title next, I intend to be the director. Shimoda says, in terms of timing, do you think you have one more game left? Yoshida says, when I was thinking about passing the baton to the next generation, I thought, maybe let's do one more game. But in that case, I was setting my own ceiling. Lately, I've been thinking it would be better not to set a ceiling like that. For example, I'm over 50 now, but I'm still snowboarding. All joking aside, I'm better now at it than I've ever been. There's still so much I can do, and it'd be better not to put a cap on that. I feel like setting limits will make things boring. Of course, there's one approach to things that you can only make progress by setting goals. But as an organization grows to a large scale like this, I think it's better to adopt the approach that I don't know what the future holds, but I'll do my best every time. I hope that even I will achieve things I didn't think possible. Now, obviously, the thing that caught everyone's attention here was the
side-scrolling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Final Fantasy XIV side-scrolling.
that he seems to regret that he's made 14 more comfortable.
I mean, he's right, though. He has.
Well,
But that's
And
not what he
even
said.
with
that is not what he said.
No, I know, but he has.
Well, that's a fair thing for
And
you to
his
think, but that's
example,
what...
in his example of the platformer thing,
Right.
that implies that not that he wants to make the game harder, but it implies that he wants to make it so it doesn't. It's not almost impossible to fail at.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, even trying to like misinterpret this conversation, I don't know how you could get like he's just going to make the game harder.
It's
from
nothing
this,
about
you
hardness.
know?
It's about it's about the lower seat, like the floor of the game is like there's like he says there's no holes to fall down. Like it's so hard to fail in almost every piece of content.
Yeah.
Like I think people just really ran away and about this talking point in general. Was like, oh my god, everything's gonna be a fucking mythic rating tier now. The relic's coming back. It's gonna be fucking super hard this time for real now. Everything's gonna be so different. I'm like, you're getting a lot from like a paragraph here.
Yeah.
Well, the annoying part is that was the part everyone took away from it. But I do think the other part where he talks about how he actually wants to direct another game is also very interesting because while he was the producer on Final Fantasy XVI, he was not the director.
That's true, actually. That's a good point.
That is true.
It would be good for him to direct more titles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why there was a massive conversation about, are you going to retire soon, basically? If you've barely got one game left in you, haven't you, old man?
I feel like they've been saying that for...
Leave him
They've been saying that a lot.
Yeah.
He's not even that old. He's middle-aged still, right?
Yeah.
He's 50-something?
Yeah.
Like he's not old.
Poor guy.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, but he's accelerating his lifespan with all those Lucky Strike cigarettes.
That's true.
Maybe he like balances out with the snowboarding. It's like good exercise, you know? So it's like
Well,
a little bit of
I
good
imagine-
and a little bit of bad.
The thing is, I don't think he's snowboarding that frequently because it's not that easy to get to somewhere where you can snowboard.
Yeah,
He-
but
he takes those trips.
Japan has the highest life expectancy despite the fact that everyone smokes. If they didn't smoke, they'd be living to like 150.
Yeah. So he'll be downgraded to like an American life expectancy.
Exactly,
instead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing is about this is that it is out of context because there is more to this quote that has been cut out or not included in this, and that is as this post says, it was a very brief rewording of their statements, and from a much larger interview, which conveniently cut off right before the following exchange. So this is additional context to what Yoshi-P was talking about. Shimoda says, I agree. It is easy to explain to the player base when you're easing something, but you really need to explain the changes thoroughly to them when you're implementing a balance that is challenging. Finding the right balance between stress and return is extremely important in game design, and just repeatedly easing the difficulty will cause the game to be tasteless. Also, it is important to build relationships with the players and explain to and for the player base to hopefully come to an understanding as to why such changes are necessary to make the game better. Yoshida says, if you change the game without telling the player base will be disappointed by that fact alone. Not to mention, I'm not particularly talking about raising the difficulty. So we need to repeatedly provide a thorough explanation and properly communicate to them. So please try it out and please give us your feedback. I've come to the realization that we need to continuously repeat this and that there is no answer and no goal to this. Again, I'm not... Oh yeah, that's the translator's note.
Still think it's basically what he was saying with his platform example. A platform is not harder because it has fail states, but the idea of a platform with no fail states is boring.
The translator of this particular piece did also go, it's not included in our notes, but they also provided an additional explanation that when they say that Yoshi-P is saying, I'm not saying we're increasing the difficulty. What he means to say is, I'm not saying we're increasing the difficulty necessarily, in the sense that, like, they may still do that, but that is not necessarily just what they're going to do without consulting the player base.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely more focused on him lamenting on how he's like what he's done to the game in terms of some easements, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's something they should have a bit of a conversation about. Because it's been very slow and progressive over the past decade, but there's so much in 14 now that's on day one you almost don't struggle with. Like, even 24-man raids, sometimes they're like a doddle and you just get through it on day one.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's more the case for Endwalker than it was for Shadowbringers. I think
that's true. And there was
had a
quite
certain degree of difficulty.
Yeah,
was not replicated when they made the Myths of the Realm raids.
And similarly with normal modes of content, the trials have, like, even the extremes of most trials this expansion haven't been particularly fun or interesting, but the normals have almost all been, like, very easy to get through, like, just in one run.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the entire, like, even if 6 people have died, it's not super hard to get back on track.
True, I guess. Like,
I mean,
it shouldn't be a worry to wipe the party and have them learn from it and start again.
I don't necessarily think that's the case, because I don't mind them not having the equivalent of body checks in normal modes.
I mean,
maybe
you
not
have to
body
play
checks,
the game for some reason. I feel like
Exactly.
there has to be something, right? This is not an idle game. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Anyway. So there has to be some
I think there needs to
challenge.
be.
Like, why?
If it's not in, maybe in trials that are MSQ,
Yeah.
they can be in a simpler state. But let's think about normal raids. It's optional content, and it should be challenging, or like,
That I agree
I
with.
feel like normal
Optional
mode
content.
content
That's
has become like very safe and very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
'Cause
still
remember-
very good at the hard content. The Savages have been hard and everything, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because remember earlier during the launch of Endwalker, there were people that were out there complaining, saying they were never playing this game again, all because of that one single-player duty in Garlemald.
In from the
yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
horrendous.
I will never get that. I don't.
Me neither.
I mean, it was more intricate. Like, and same thing with Fancrid's little thing.
Yeah, people didn't like that either.
I was like, that's.
It
I don't know.
upsets me. Like,
You're playing a video game. You have to do something.
I
Yeah.
understand the game has to be accessible, and there were some parts that were, a little. You had to think, but it was so good, and it made so much sense in the story.
Yeah.
I
I'm just
will
saying that-
accept though that maybe just because we're I mean, we're gamers. We've been playing Z2. Like
Hell yeah, brother.
we know what the buttons do, that we are at least kind of slightly blind to some of the like basic hard stuff that people don't like.
Yeah.
People have trouble understanding how to move a camera and a character at the same time. Like if they've never done that before, sincerely, that is a skill you have to build up.
Yeah.
That we've had forever, at least.
And it's now something people kind of take for granted. That's why in the original Super Mario 64 they had the camera personified with Lakitu following you behind you with a camera. What I was going to say is that like I imagine they have a much greater access to like understanding the scale of player skill than we do.
Yeah,
which unfortunately means that they have to, when they scale something for the less skilled members of the people of the subscription base, it can get frustrating to people that don't see that.
That is fair.
It's why we
surprisingly. I don't know why they, for at least for instances, because I don't know why the default isn't being able to just pick the difficulty from the start instead of having like that seems like if it's a person playing and they know they can't do the normal instances pretty often, like you should just be able to pick from the start, or even have like an option saying like in the menu, I always want instance duties to be easy.
I think that's like
that
at character creation level, you can be like select MSQ difficulty, like battle difficulty, and then from there on, that's your default, right? And then you can change it surely if you want to, but we have that system already. Like Rollo said, we already have it.
You
but you have to fail first, and that can be frustrating.
I think
at least for MSQ.
Yes, for MSQ.
I think that's something they can definitely implement. I just think it's the issue of like it was not something there in the base game, and like they've never thought to adjust it. Like I imagine if some person were to ask that to Yoshi-P in one of these various like opportunities to ask him questions, he would say that's interesting, and they probably would go back and add it. But no one has brought it up to him.
There, you know what to do, Mr. Forum.
Yeah. Get on work for us, please.
Yeah.
Because I know this is a spaghetti game, but I feel like that's something that at this point they are able to add at somewhere in the game that like you can set it to by default.
They must be able to.
Yeah.
Work on it though.
Work on it.
Difficulty has been something they've really struggled with throughout the whole life of this game.
Well, I think every MMO has this struggle at some point. Like, because
it's true.
There are those that want to do hard shit, and there's the people that just want to press one button and get through it. You know, like that's just how it is.
That's why healers are the way they are.
Yeah.
Are you saying healers are for babies? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying that they're
babies who are
made
bad in the game.
Babies.
No, healers are healers are fucked because
I don't mean that.
It's a role that's stressful, but sometimes people who don't want stress try to play them, and then we have to like I don't know. It's impossible to make that role work in this game.
You know who I'm blaming? And this is going to be a very specific type of person. Or you know what? Specific two types of people. It's the fault of the tank boyfriend and the healer girlfriend that's not good at video games.
It's
them. It is them.
It is them.
If you've ever seen them in 14, you know.
Gender profiling roles.
I can't.
No, I'm not saying that they do those roles naturally. I'm saying that specific instance of those roles. It is very apparent in 14.
Well, let's just say it can also be tank girlfriend and healer boyfriend that it doesn't know how to play video games. Just with balance and scales.
Perfectly fair.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. That's the whole context of the Yoshi-P quote. So
don't you worry. He's not making it harder.
But
he might.
Not
necessarily, but this might
so
mean
worry a little bit.
It might change his approach to how they make content easier, maybe, because he seems to not
have the usual level of worry that you have every day.
Always be a little bit worried about what's next. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Cross-region data center travel is being tested very soon.
Yay.
Finally!
That'll be nice.
Well-
I'm looking forward to cross data centering to America or somewhere like that. I'm really looking forward to that. But let's see what he's going to
Yeah,
store for
let's
us.
see what
I-
let's see what we.
Did you check your ticket, Mela? I think it doesn't say North America. I think it is Australia.
That can't be right.
Fuck, the wrong
Who would go
thing.
there? So a post on the Lodestone reads as follows: Since its introduction, the data center travel system has allowed players to visit worlds within the same physical data center. For example, players in the European data center are able to visit worlds in chaos and light. As previously announced, our system is capable of facilitating cross-region travel, but we are still evaluating this functionality in light of the often substantial differences in market economy and social norms between data centers.
Can I say, I love that they link to the
I was
post
just
that
gonna
they
say
made in 2022.
Which also, if you
From
just
them,
scroll up
though.
a little bit, it talks about the European data center expansion, which should have happened last year.
That's true.
We will continue to take community feedback into account as we consider whether this functionality should be enabled. On the other hand, many worlds may experience login queues following the upcoming release of Dawn Trail, especially during peak times. With this situation in mind, we are considering a temporary option in which a limited form of cross-region travel would allow players to play on a less populated physical data center.
What a roundabout way of saying.
Where could that be? Thus, to identify potential technical issues ahead of Dawn Trail's release, we will be conducting a public test of cross-region data center travel functionality starting Monday, 25th of March, GMT. Wait, why is time zone defined here?
Why is there time here when it's just a date?
25th of March, GMT slash AEDT. Okay.
When?
Players connecting from geographically distant locations may experience some lag, but we hope you will take this opportunity to explore playing on a different physical data center.
Yeah, come to Australia, experience what I experience every day of my life.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. Like, surely, now I understand the point is you will be able to play somewhere where there's fewer people, so you can, the queues will go down. But surely they're testing things like stress on the servers and, latency and things. But this is the equivalent of sending all of Europe into space and saying, "Look, there's so much room here." Like. Nobody is
Wow.
playing
You
on
don't
these
really
shitty
want to stay
servers.
there, right? Yeah. You wanna go
Exactly.
back.
Well, I think that they're worried that even a little bit might be too much. So that's why they're sending you somewhere unpopulated, maybe.
Right.
Don't worry, Australian players who are playing on the Oceanian data center. If your economy's fucked, Yoshi-P doesn't care. This test will fuck your economy,
No, you
and
guys-
we'll all leave back to our respective
What
homes.
economy?
Yeah, what?
Mela,
There
I
must
don't-
be something
I
there.
don't think anyone lived here before. What are you talking about?
No.
This data is free for the taking.
Oh,
I'm getting a few
don't
houses.
pray. Now you've made it. Now made it a very sinister metaphor, Roller.
There's like one Mithril Sabaton offending on sale in the market board for 50 million gil.
Oh.
That's all that you can
not
buy.
buying that.
Okay, so that's if it wasn't clear, the only data center is the Oceanian data center. There it is. You can travel there, but nowhere else. So
From 3 a.m.
if God forbid there's people on that data center that has had no experience on any other data center, they will get to experience
definitely are.
what it's like to be on a real data center, and
Yeah.
they will be so sad when this test ends and everyone goes away. It'll be the most depressing. Like they'll be like, "Oh wow, there's life," and then 7.0 hits, no one. Crickets.
You will get
be
to
honest-
experience what tourist towns experience during the downtime, and then
Yes.
as soon as summer comes along.
Oh, the Leafers! They're coming.
To be honest, I think that they will experience a lot of Australians and like other people from Southeast Asia that just didn't want to leave their original servers because they have things that have tied them to it, like houses or FCs or things like that. And they will come, like I plan to go there because it will make it less painful for me
Well, that's
Right.
in
fair.
terms of
I
in
plan
terms
to
of
go there too,
connection.
Georgi, but that's just to laugh
I'm gonna
and
bring
say shrimp on the
Dalamud Red.
Barbie. I'm gonna go and shout shrimp on the Barbie in every.
Yes.
So.
See, that's the cultural stuff they were talking about.
Yeah. Oh no, shrimp on the Barbie.
I think you're going to get. I think people are going to say a lot of terrible things to you if you do that.
Oh, but I won't be alone. I will be joined by the French Sacre Bleu. They will be running around. Shrimp on the Barbie.
My
wait
ping,
for the
it is
French.
le fucking bad.
My le ping is le bad. What is le 10?
Le ping. Why is nobody speaking French?
Where is the what you say shrimp on the le Barbie? Oh, it's gonna be great, guys.
They'll find the like 7 people that are playing on the Oceanic servers from New Caledonia.
They can start a small community.
Yeah.
I'm going there for the Filipinos. They got to be there, right? That's where they.
I suspect most of the Filipinos
Why
stayed
are
on the
they
JP
there? They'll be
servers.
on Japan, yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Anyways.
What are you gonna do? Any Filipinos?
Yeah, any Pinoy in chat? Where are they at?
Okay. Characters.
No
Yes.
one go there. We'll ruin it.
Don't go
to the
there.
State Centre. We'll all
Don't
ruin
go.
the poor Australians' fun.
Whew. Okay, anyways, characters with a homeworld in the Oceanian data center will be unable to travel to a different physical data center. Please note that although characters will be able to return to their homeworld from the Oceanian data center even after the test is concluded, their ability to return may be temporarily impeded by periods of server congestion, including any that may arise during the release of Dawntrail. Please
I
note
don't like
So
that
it's a-
sentence there.
Well,
Even
no, it's
after the
essentially-
test is concluded, though, that gives the implication that there was a chance that you might not be able to return to your test center.
Well, no, I think the implication behind that is because it goes all the way until 7.0,
Right.
you really should return to your server before Dawntrail goes live. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to return to your server.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
It's getting trapped at the airport without a visa or something.
Oh god.
Yeah. Please note that your Lodestone character data will not account for friend list, blacklist, and crossword link shell registrations made while visiting another physical data center. Additionally, you cannot join Community Finder recruitments for crossword link shells on other physical data centers.
Will
That's
that be a
fair.
permanent restriction, or is that only during the test?
I would assume it's a permanent.
Minimum during
Well,
the
what
test,
is
but it's a
there
lot.
are restrictions to data center travel
Yeah.
as well, so
You can
I'm
join
assuming
other
you're getting-
crossword.
Yeah, but it'd be
You can
across
join other
data
crossword link
centers
shells.
to link shell.
well, I'm assuming because there's nowhere else to go. I think this is a test, so yeah, I would assume that one would get lifted. The crossword link.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone will get trapped on the Oceanian data center during a time when their house is up for demolition and not be able to get back during the congestion and lose their house. It's very specific, but if that happens to you, let us know, because that'd
Yeah.
be
I
very
mean,
sad.
I imagine that's a very possible problem that could happen with just regular crossword travel.
That's true.
I don't think I would.
Very
Data
sad.
center travel.
I don't think I would want to be on a different data center for like a month. Like, how long does it take?
I
No, I
worry-
wouldn't either.
I wouldn't want to be on one for more than about 5 minutes.
I would get paranoid immediately and be like, my house.
Yeah, I'm only going on Dalamud Red. I'm not going. I don't want to do this on my main character. It's too scary.
No, I'm gonna try.
I don't like this stuff because I don't trust Square Enix.
Well, this
to actually
we've said this
do it
before.
properly.
Cross-region data center travel system is great for us. Like for us, it's good because a lot
Oh,
of
for us, it's great.
our viewers are on NA.
I'm looking
so-
forward to playing with you.
Yes.
This one's for the streamers.
Even some I know are on Oceania. Strangely
Wow.
enough.
Right.
Well, we're coming to find you soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meet up at the quicksand.
Yeah.
Still no South American servers, by the way. I'm hard.
No, but that's part of
Come
the
on.
cloud system. That's really different.
No, come on. We need to go to Brazil, but for real.
Brazil isn't real. Come on now. Get real.
I wouldn't be surprised, Roller, if Oceania has convinced them to never make any more physical data centers
It
ever again.
looks like
Yeah.
they're
Because they
over
made
it.
it for like Australia, New Zealand, most
Yeah.
there's no one fucking there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, it's true.
I guess I don't exist.
Compared to like South America, okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, look at the
Yeah,
numbers
but
for
their language isn't even supported by this game, Rollo. How can they play it?
Exactly. They won't understand.
Anyways, yeah, you can visit Australia or Oceania, I guess, starting when was it? March 25th. 3 a.m. Sorry, 3 a.m. GMT,
3 a.m.
2 p.m. Australia time.
I'll be there straight away.
Until the beginning of patch 7.0.
7.0, whenever that is.
Yeah.
The mysterious 7.0.
But is this perhaps, do we know that this is going to launch with 7.0? Because it's curious
No,
that
it's just a test.
Okay. Interesting.
I
wouldn't be surprised if they
guarantee.
maybe do it before the expansion, depending on.
Remember that they're testing lots of, like, they can definitely do it, but they're scared about the economies and the cultural overlap and all that shit.
Oh my god.
That's why they've picked the culture that they don't care about impacting the most.
Yeah.
Because there isn't one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this leads directly into actual cross-world physical data center travel at 7.0 if they find that this test has worked out. Otherwise, they might move it further down.
Yeah. I think it'll be fine, but maybe they'll allow it between North America and Europe and Oceania.
I mean, come on, just open it for everyone. Stop being so weird.
You know what they're like, though.
I know. What do you mean?
They can't help their fear of cultural shock on their servers.
I see. I just say open it for everyone.
Very diplomatic, Mela.
Yeah.
You held back. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm growing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I do. There is one thing I think that the JP service should definitely be afraid of, and that is the frequency of RMT sellers on our world, which is definitely not as much of a problem on theirs.
That is true. That is a big one. But I don't see them as much recently as like the Heavenswood days. Like Heavenswood, it was constant tells and spam. They have
if you're in places like Limsa, they'll just still say stuff in Say Chat.
Yeah. You get a bit every now and then.
I still see I see the bots, but I don't definitely don't hear them as much.
Oh, I see so many bots still, but not like the RMT sellers as much.
On the EU's data center or Ragnarok, always in the morning. I don't really see them. I think it's because
black mages teleporting underground.
Well, one I see every now and then, especially around the Grand Company turn-in stuff. There's for some reason they pop in there.
Maybe
awful.
Maybe they're like drug dealers now. You can only find them if you need them.
That's a fair point.
Possible, yeah. I think also the reason why I see them in the morning is because there's not enough people there to like fill up. Because Limsa and Ragnarok, and I think in most places, are so active that they just drown.
I don't like the bots.
No, but they're not as bad.
Wow, what a controversial
hot takes only here at Seekers.
Well, no, it's not. It's because they're taking all of the names. Like I was going to use some of those names.
Oh, like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was going to make a Rogadin.
I see.
My Rogadin.
All the Rogadin names.
Rogadin RP.
I can't even RP as a Rogadin.
No. Remember how bad it was though. Like it used to be unbearable at one point. Remember they would tell. They would send you tells, and sometimes they would invite you to parties.
Oh,
they would do,
I've never got an invite before. That's crazy.
They did that for a little bit.
Horrendous.
Yeah, it was very bad.
Heavens was a really bad time for bots.
Yes. That was before.
Also,
go on.
This picture that you've chosen, it's the perfect opportunity to use that nice picture they made of Australia, and you just put it on a white background.
Because this is what we use for messages about,
this is a very important, serious message.
This is a serious message.
I understand. I'm just making a point.
Yeah, and I'm making another point by not using it because there are not enough people on that server you don't deserve to have it on right now. Get more people in there.
Where's Europe's fun picture?
Yeah, what about us? Where's our expanded data center?
You'll never get a fun picture. Maybe South America will.
Oh.
What, for their non-existent data center? They'll just make one. Yeah.
When they make one is what I meant.
They're
not just for fun.
Everyone deserves a nice picture.
That's true. Just make a world map in the style of
that'd be really cool.
Okay. Well, anyways, that's that. If you want to go visit, you can do that starting March 25th. Yoshi-P is at it again. This time, PC gamer. He did an interview.
Excerpt.
It's an excerpt from an interview with PC gamer.
PC gamer.
With Yoshi-P.
Ironic for this game. Well, I suppose remakes on there, isn't it? But
Yeah. Yeah,
that's not
it is. This is a quote from that interview. Simply put, my personal wish is to approach Final Fantasy VII in earnest. But with the Final Fantasy VII Remake series in development, I don't want to get in their way. I would be very happy if we could do something together after the Remake series is completed. And I'd like to ask players to support the 7 Remake series as well, so that this can happen as soon as possible. So a 7 Remake on the horizon, but in the faint future, because we don't actually know. We don't know when this ends.
It'll be after Reunion finishes.
Chat's correct.
Yeah.
It will probably be in 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Why are crossover events so slow for this game? I don't understand.
Well, he seems to want the whole series to conclude.
Yeah.
And so things we're only on game 2 of 3.
What's it matter?
I don't know.
It's
Well,
FF7.
Yeah.
He just said,
Yeah, I
Rollo,
know.
he doesn't want to disturb the development team while they're making the game.
Which
With 16, he's not afraid of because he's the boss.
that's true.
It only needs to be a one-way crossover. All he needs to do is basically say, can I use a couple of the characters in 14? They'll go, yeah, because we literally live in the same company. You can do what you want. It's your
own the
asset as much
IP.
as it's ours.
Yeah.
Do what you want, dude. Stop disturbing us.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, because I think he wants people from their team to work on the crossover with them, I guess. So, but he doesn't want to take anyone out of the. Obviously, can't do that. The 7
Well,
remake.
they're going to be hard working on it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's generally the case that he prefers them to write their own characters because he doesn't want to, like, contradict what they either have. Like, he doesn't want to potentially contradict something that will happen in Reunion before it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
I would love to see Barrett Wallace in Final Fantasy XIV.
Barrett's not coming, and I can tell you that right now.
I think his
Barrett.
model would be too difficult to.
I
agree.
want
If they did
Barrett
it
Wallace.
fully custom import,
Yeah.
just the,
That's even better. If
That's a lot
Barrett's
of
not
work.
in the crossover, then don't do it.
I mean, you know, they could just put Barrett's head on Raubon's body. They both are missing one arm.
Oh my god, you're right. And then we could. Yeah, and then
He can be like, he can talk about ceruleum. He'd be like, oh my god, the planet's dying, Warrior of Light.
it's just gonna be FF7 again in 14.
yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Chad is correct that they are missing opposite arms, but I don't know. That's how you can just flip the model. That's it's easy.
Yeah, easy.
Why are you?
Yeah.
I
They
just
could put
I
in
wonder,
some
though.
effort if they have to, guys. It's fine.
They never strike while the iron's hot with these crossovers ever.
No.
Like
Oh,
when the
but a yokai watch?
yeah, after it was the 3DS is not for sale anymore. That's we're the only place you can get. Well, I think it was on the Switch at some point too.
Yeah.
The Yokai Watch games, but like, or when the FF15 crossover, that was like after the PC version.
It was
even out,
well after
right?
the Windows
Oh, yeah.
version.
Like, yeah, I want to see Noctis now. Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. 16 as well. Well, 16 was quite. I mean, we haven't gotten it yet.
16 was
But it
not
is.
like-
haven't got it.
But it's not. There's a DLC coming out for that game still, so that one I feel like is still relevant.
Yeah.
It might be around the PC port release too, I think. So that's still like
Yeah.
within reason, I would say. But the FF7 one is like, or the even 13 was like well after.
For the Lightning Returns one.
Wasn't it for Lightning Returns?
Yeah, I thought it was for Lightning Returns.
Lightning
yeah.
Returns.
it was.
The crossover was in 2013. It was like one of the first crossovers.
Yeah, it
or
was.
might have been right at the beginning of 2014. I don't remember.
It was before Crystal Tower came out.
Yeah. It was. It's. Well,
I didn't have a
well,
clue what was happening. I don't know what Lightning was. I didn't know what was going on.
But
If
yeah,
it was
I would
2013,
say-
that's pretty close then. I
well,
guess.
Lightning Returns released in November 2013. So I think actually that
Yeah.
one was.
Okay, so
very
not bad
spot
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the argument more so for why I don't think Barrett will be in it Mailer is because they very rarely bring anyone other than the main character over.
That is true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, still.
Oh yeah, that's true. We never see There's only Noctis in the 15. There's only Lightning.
Cloud.
Yeah, you're probably only going to get Cloud though.
Yeah.
Well, the FF11
yeah.
crossover had
Shantoto
and
Shantoto.
Eora?
Yeah, but it was
These were
only
different
only
events.
one.
Oh,
Yeah, it's only
that's right.
one per event. It was Shantoto for
No.
one, and who's the other character?
Iroha.
Iroha.
Eora,
Yeah.
I just the only positive is we'll get Buster Sword as a Dark Knight weapon, which will be cool.
That's gonna
but
be cool.
Come on. Other than that, though, come on, get them all over.
Just
They're Final Fantasy VII characters.
yeah,
That's
like
so iconic.
they've already been in a ton of terrible movies. How much worse can you do?
That's so much more iconic than anyone in
Advent
like
Children,
15 or anything.
Slander.
Absolutely, that movie blows. And
We
you know
accept Advent Children slander here because that movie, you should go back and watch it. Everyone who has a fond memory of that movie, that feels like
It was great.
fan fiction and FMV, just put on a Linkin Park track or an Evanescence track and you got it. You know, the memories.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh, that's
2005.
when they had those really bad designs where it was like all black.
Yeah.
They were cool. They were edgy.
I didn't like them
Remember,
at all.
like everyone was just wearing like a long black coat
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, I
None
remember,
of the characters had their original outfits, They
except
just all wore
for
long black coats.
Vincent.
Well,
Vincent.
because he's already edgy.
Yeah.
A lot of them were just all in black. Like I think Tifa was all black.
Yeah.
Cloud was essentially all in black too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
was-
we have Cloud's Advent Children outfit in the game.
We do have it in the game. Yeah, we do.
That's true.
And he had that like weird like knocker like with a lion
Yeah.
or whatever the animal. It's like a door knocker on his outfit. Very strange. And then remember the phones? They had the flip phones. They were clearly
Yeah, okay.
sponsored by something.
The flip phones were
Yeah,
kind of
Motorola.
dope. though.
But it was so obvious that it was fucking sponsorship. You never
But
hear
it's-
about the fucking
is-
flip phones in 7. You never see
It's
them since.
retroactively like charming though, because it's such a relic. It was bad then, but now it's like, oh, that's kind
It's-
of like of the time. It's cute.
funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, Advent Children. It's a mess, and
It was great.
it barely has a plot, and what little plot there is not good. It's just an excuse to bring 7 back into the zeitgeist.
That's true. I mean, 7 had too much expansion. That was not necessary.
Yeah.
It's
I
7.
think the
what are you gonna
the
do?
only
Not make
the
more
only
7
game
stuff?
that
True.
the only game that made this or added to the storyline was Crisis Core, and I would say that the game itself detracted from the like respect I gave 7 dramatically because it's not a good game. But
Well, Crisis
Advent
Core
Children not good. Dirge of Cerberus, what was the point?
don't literally
How dare
never
you.
talk about it
Leave
again.
Dirge of Cerberus
I hate
alone.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Bullshit.
Crisis Core is to 7 what Chain of Memories is to Kingdom Hearts.
It just clears up the
It's
confusion of the original game.
It's just true.
But playing Crisis Core, I love the little slot machine. It's fun.
Oh, I didn't like the slot machine.
You guys
I
aren't
think-
real gamblers like me.
I think 7 still makes sense without Crisis Core. I think Kingdom Hearts makes less sense without Chain of Memories.
7 makes
Specifically
sense,
2.
but a lot of it's either side content that's harder to find if you don't know where to look for it, or inferred things that happened. And Crisis Core just like solidified it a bit. But I mean,
Yeah.
it would be fine without it. True.
It would be fine without it. Yeah.
Was
8
Gak-
could have done with something like that, couldn't it?
they hate 8.
8 could have fucking done with
8 is
anything
never
to
going to
make
get
that plot
anything.
make sense.
8
No.
8 is one of the few games from in Final Fantasy where they just dropped the game and then they were done.
They did
Yeah.
with 9 too, which is much
No,
more popular.
9 got a
9
little more
only
love.
fails at the end. 9's a fantastic game, and then they're like Necron, whereas
Yeah.
8's like Cloud.
8's like-
Squall shooting the heart with icicle. Now he's floating around in space with no face. Future demon woman. What's going on?
8 is great, but it's been ruined by the director who later said that the
Yeah,
Squall is
he's
dead
a
theory is
fool.
not true.
It's so.
That's
good.
how you
It's such a
kill
good
the
theory.
mythos of a game because everything
Well,
made
see-
sense and now it doesn't.
I suspect that if they remade 8 with the original director, because he said that he would want to be involved if they did it, they would further clarify the point he wants to make about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll add a line in Nuclear after that cutscene.
I say
when
after he wakes up,
Cloud-
I'm
Small
definitely
dies, and he
not dead.
I'm alive.
I'm definitely alive.
everyone. Thank
It's so
God.
good to be alive. Oh, these Moombas that just suddenly came out of nowhere. Yeah, those have always existed.
Oh no, the moons turn red.
Yeah, the moon's turning red. Oh, lunar cry. Yeah, happens every now and then. That's a part of our
Did
world.
you know? Time to get in my funny truck and ride around.
Okay. Anyways, we are way off, but
But for sure, 7 Remake crossover needs all the characters. You can cut Yuffie and Vincent if you want. They're optional, but everyone else is
No, keep Red
mainline
6
character.
out. I don't want to look at Red 6.
Red
or
13 is
Red
beautiful.
13. I hate that
He's
fucking dog.
cool.
I've always
What
hated
the
that
fuck?
dumbass dog.
Oh my
Red
god,
is
he's so
cool.
good.
Come on
His
now.
background is sad. He's a good character.
he's a
I
good-
know, but I hate looking.
Species is
No, because he looks like a fucking like deviant art Lion King
That I agree
OC.
with.
I hate it
Okay,
so
that
much.
I agree with.
Oh my god. I mean, I know what you
It's-
mean.
see that.
Come on,
It's
man.
so stupid.
Oh, I really like him.
But I think that's DeviantArt's fault, not his original. I think DeviantArt looked at Red 13 and was like, oh, yes.
Probably.
Mine
but you
now.
know what? I'm sorry. I can't like not associate it with that.
Right. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. So look forward to a 7 remake crossover, possibly in the far future. Just please love the game, according to Yoshi-P. Just
I mean,
support
it's
it.
got like 10 out of 10 from everyone.
Yeah.
Buy my game, or his games. He needs paycheck.
Yes.
Buy all the company's games.
Yes.
Buy-
please. Consume product, please.
Buy the Silent Man. Or the Quiet Man, or whatever it was.
The quiet man.
Quiet
The
Man.
quiet man.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Quiet Man.
God, that
That's
game.
the
He was
never made.
silent. He
Yeah.
was a silent
We
man.
should do a speaker's place of that, huh? That's
We should.
Because I literally don't know what happens in it. Let's do that.
It's
think that'll
so
be funny.
good.
That
I'd
would be
like
funny. Okay. Okay. Well, that's it for recent events. You know what that means? It's time for MogMail. So let's see what we got this time. This is from Mnemesine Ron from Lich. Hi, speakers. During Endwalker, when Thancred first sacrificed himself, I quickly thought, he'll be back. They need a tank for the last dungeon, Trust. During 6.4, I felt his sudden appearance was random, but it was because Graha was busy with the Alliance raid, and they needed a tank for the dungeon, and so they shoehorned him in. They tried to give him some relevance outside of that, but the pep talk he gave Zero made no sense and was just repeated 10 minutes later with Euless, only better. Thancred was there basically to be a tank and to speak mysteriously with Oriange behind our back. Maybe it is because I do not care for Thancred, but it made me wonder if the trust system gives characters more plot armor than they already have, and if it runs the risk of awkwardly forcing enough characters to be available for dungeons. This has me especially worried if they make trusts available for trials from now on, because it can be convoluted enough to arrange for 3 to 4 scions to join us every time, but 7 might be difficult. I don't know, just some thoughts I've had for a while, not sure what else to say about it. Well, I think you're right. Yeah, I feel like Thancred. We've all talked about how we feel like Thancred's storyline is kind of
story's
over,
over.
but
or it was.
It was.
But like, I'm willing to see where they go with Dawn Trail based on what
Well-
they've shown of us with Oriange and
Yeah.
Thancred.
yeah,
I feel like at this point, like that was his big arc, and he's just going on another arc now. Essentially,
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
I have to assume he's going on a big arc. He's on the key arc for the expansion.
true. I don't like. I kind of like that when you do use trusts in leveling dungeons. It's just like adventurers and people that are, not necessarily huge story characters. I wouldn't mind.
The early ones are very good, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they did that with MSQ stuff as well. Not necessarily just random person, but like an NPC that's somewhat involved in the story. It's just a reskinned, you just give the AI to an NPC and they do the things that you tell it to do, right? It's just put character here, make it do things. You don't have to pull a scion out of cryo sleep just to like say a few lines to be relevant, and then do a dungeon, then go back into cryosleep again, just so they have. I played with Thancred. No one does that, right? It's weird.
I think that is a more greater possibility now. The reason it might not have been a possibility before is because they only had the AI for those specific characters, which is why when Thancred dies in Shadowbringers, I was like, he's definitely not dying because we have no other tanks at this point in the story.
Yeah.
Whereas now they have more trust AIs, there are quite a few more based on all of the dungeons, and they have more characters. So now the fact that we have at least 2, possibly more tank NPCs, feels less likely that they will be restricted in their ability to be protected by plot.
Yeah.
That's true. Also, for most of the trials, like Heidelin and End Singer, those are like a once and done in the storyline thing. So it can be anyone who's available at that time, and they could still die after that fight or whatever.
Yeah.
It's only for the Avatar trust things where they have more of a permanent status.
Yeah.
So I don't think having them be able to join us in dungeons or trials will inhibit their ability to then have things happen to them afterwards, because it's only for that time. You can't repeat Heidelin with them, can you? And even if you can, it would just be like pretending to go back in time and redo it. So
you can repeat Heidelin with them, but it's not actually going to fight Heidelin again.
Right.
So I think the one-time stuff when they join us in dungeons is not protecting them in any way. I think they have the chance to.
But they have to be there for that dungeon run, is the point.
They do, yeah. But
so that's why that's what they're saying. Like in Thancred's case, they had to make sure he did not disappear from the story, so he could be a tank in the next dungeon.
That's only an issue with the fact that there were fewer tanks.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think they're that limited in Pinhold by the trust. I think if they really have an arc or a character has to be there or doesn't have to be there, they can find ways to make it work. Like, just Thancred was never intended to die at all, like at the end of Endwalker. So like, it didn't really matter, or not saying it didn't matter that he died. It was like a story beat there. But if they really want to do something, they'll definitely do it. I don't think it's keeping characters alive, essentially.
Well,
yeah.
The Sultana of Ul'dah has something to say about that, I think. But
well, I'm talking about the trust.
That's not trust related.
I'm just saying, in general,
that's just Heavensward's fault.
There's a difference between the idea of them being trust protects them from death and the rest of the game being too cowardly to kill off characters.
Yeah, well,
and they're just too cowardly to kill off Dynamo.
Yeah.
And also, they're too cowardly to kill off Thancred, when that would have been one of the fucking most impactful moments of the story.
Yeah.
And also, you stole the 7 times.
Shadowbringers, I think, is more difficult because we didn't have another tank at that point in the game.
But
we had no other tank NPC.
That's an issue with the game. They would have had to have brought someone in for that or done something to change that. But wouldn't that have been?
No, I agree with you there. I thought he was going to die there, and I was happy, or not happy, but I was
fuck that guy.
Okay with
the emotion of him dying.
It felt like it would be okay.
That one, that time I knew they could never take away Thancred permanently because of just like mechanically how the game worked. I will say the time in Ultima Thule when Thancred dies, I was thinking it's possible. Well, no, I didn't actually think he'd die just because I didn't think any of them would die at that point. But I also thought maybe they can take him away because we still had Graha as a possible tank at that point in the story.
Yeah. Worst time for any Xbox player to tune into this podcast.
Oh, sorry.
We're literally talking about the biggest spoilers in the game, but hi.
It's a big...
Episode 393, I'm sorry.
I mean, the question is inherently spoiler.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Okay.
I also didn't have a problem with Thancred appearing during the 6.4 dungeon.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
I didn't particularly either.
Because, I mean, if they didn't... I feel like they felt like they wanted to put Thancred there, because otherwise we'd been using Vritra as the tank NPC up until that point. If they didn't want Thancred in that part of the story, they could have just used Vritra again.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think you just don't like Thancred, which is fine.
Well, they said
I
that.
think that's valid.
Yeah.
You're valid to not like him.
Yeah. I do wish that they. Yeah. I just don't think we need all the scions to be available for dungeons at all times. I wish they experimented a little more with who we're.
I mean,
with.
I'm getting the impression that that's not going to be the case during Dawn Trail.
We'll see. We'll see. We have no proof of that yet.
All.
Okay. Well, thank you, Menemesine. Next, we'll do one more MogMail that's coming up from a Sony Mark from Genova. Hello. I thought I had after the Solution 9 discussion that I thought after your recap of 9. Since that seemed to rely on the live stream recycling souls and memories to work, perhaps Solution 9 needs something similar, and Heidelin's stasis aspected ether was preventing that from happening in some way. Now that Heidelin is gone, it has gone back to normal, and this facility is active now. It could be an Asian backup plan or something from another civilization or ancient plan that couldn't work as long as Heidelin was around. Perhaps a third faction of ancients that didn't know another summoning would happen, or a civilization that didn't know about Heidelin and Zodiarc's influence on the world. That is my crackpot theory. P.S. I am not bold yet, so maybe a 0.5 to the count.
All right.
Bolding.
You're getting there.
3.5.
Yeah, you're getting there. 3.5.
bad.
That's our current count. Okay.
I actually like this theory. I like this theory a lot.
I find it difficult to imagine Heidelin not having any clue about this little town on the planet that she sort of lives inside. But
Well,
I suppose
She may have known about it, but that doesn't. She didn't have to tell us about it.
Well, she's not like omniscient or anything. Like
that's true.
she does have like a limited scope of what she could and couldn't do and interact with.
That is true. She wasn't aware of what was happening on. She
On the what?
seems on the first.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like
That's
she's not
true.
fully aware of everything that's going on in the realms that she's technically associated with.
And I feel like the only reason why Emmett Selk knew is because he was just, I guess, bored sometimes and would walk around, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Allegan Empire fell. I don't know. What's Terral like?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, this also leans into the ASEAN idea as well, just a different take on it. I mean, sure. I agree with Mela. Like this, Heidelin would know.
We
surely.
know that a lot of. I mean, this. I don't know if I would like this. What I'm about to say. We know that a lot of ASEAN souls that were trapped within Zodiac were released when we defeated Zodiac.
Mhm.
What if they decided, like now that they're free in the live stream, like this facility is specifically designed to pluck them from the live stream? The reason I don't like this is because it would be a way for them to potentially bring Hythlodaeus back into the story, which I mean, I like Hythlodaeus, but I feel like this would be very fan servicey if they were to do something like that.
I don't
No,
Yeah.
but it'll be his reincarnation. His soul is
know.
No, but
They've brought back enough characters after they've had their good exits.
Yeah.
Biflodeus.
When you have a character die off a story or die, like disappear, you know they're not coming back. They have a good they have good closure. You bring them back, you'd risk tarnishing everything, like they did with Xenos, like they've done with.
They came very close to doing it with Emmett Selk,
Emmett
to be
Selk.
honest.
Yeah, Emmett
Yeah,
Selk.
like
They were
him
close.
could've gone so bad.
Yeah, it
exactly.
could've.
That was very close.
Yeah.
It's a good thing there have some very good writers.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that could have been the most like fan wankery shit ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was very worried.
I don't think Hythlodaeus should come back. I think he had a really good end. You know, I think they all had a good ending.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea.
Also, that would bring back, that would make fan service a key plot in the next expansion as well, which I don't like the idea of either.
And what other souls can they bring back from the live stream? We're getting Ratartin back.
He already came back, sort of.
He came back as the ghost version.
The ghost.
I don't think they can pluck people that have like specifically reached that level of like, I guess,
Dead.
alteration by the live stream.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know what the rules are. Moon
See,
breeder.
don't do that.
No,
because
that would be the biggest mistake.
There's been so much good, like,
The
story after
Orion
that.
her parents thing where they had that
Yeah.
moment where they finally forgave.
Oh yeah, that woman at the top of the key. It's the real Ida brought back to life.
No.
Fuck! Don't even.
The real white girl.
Do
Oh,
not.
God, I would hate that so much.
If it is, that would make me angry.
You gotta be so careful.
Yeah.
Inherently, I don't mind this theory. If it brings back specific characters, I will dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
Make some new characters, please. I don't. Yeah. Or Lady Ash.
Yeah, Ash is fine.
Lady Ash, I don't like the Lady Ash theory.
Because it doesn't make any sense because she's still around.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Sony, thank you.
The theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, it's great. Lady Ash has decided to go from one side of the world all the way to the other.
It's been a long time
to hang around.
I mean, she disappeared a long time ago, Mela. She's had plenty of time to travel the world.
And she's
when was the war, like the Evilesian War? When was that? It's a long time ago.
Look.
I'm just saying.
Please don't do it, guys.
Lady Ash on the top of the key art.
No, Into Soul 9. That's still sticking with that one.
No. I think it's Into Soul 9, but I think Lady Ash is a separate story. It's just a completely different story. It has nothing to do with that. Okay. That's it. Thank you, Sony. Thank you, everyone, for sending in MogMail. We'll jump into the interview now. Yoshi-P has sat down with Play Magazine.
Really? I thought he sat down with a bottle of wine.
Well, that as well, obviously.
Very fancy, unlabeled.
Yeah. He likes them unlabeled, so he doesn't know what he's having. That sounds like a fun game, Mela, right? You just have a circle. Well, let's see. You have a lazy Susan.
Oh, a lazy Susan, yeah.
Yeah, and you put unlabeled bottles of wine, and then you spin it, and then it stops, and you pick a wine, and then you just drink it.
We can play that. We can call it What's the Plonk.
And then one of them, Mela, is piss.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's very regular stream type content.
That was stream content, guys. If you like that kind of awful content, join us on Sundays to Fridays.
Yeah, Sundays to Fridays. You can get all of that content. It's great. All right, Play Magazine did an interview with Yoshi-P. This is a more like just a Dawn Trail interview is what I'd like to call it. It's about everything and nothing at the same time. Okay. The last 10 years of Final Fantasy XIV have taken the Warriors of Light on a truly epic journey. Players have fought gods, stopped the tide of imperialism, ended a 1,000-year war against dragons, saved a parallel world, and even halted a despair-induced apocalypse. So, how on earth can the team behind one of the best MMORPGs ever hope to follow that up? It's a good question. I mean, I guess that's why we're going on holiday for this expansion, so that we'll forget about all the shit that happened in the past, so we can start over.
Yeah. Well, we can do the whole plots again.
Yeah, let's do it again. A realm. Well, they can call it a realm reborn because we forgot.
No, here's the thing, Lukiel. The war with Garlemald will start back up, and they call it a realm retorn.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
We recently got the chance to speak
What's that look for, Rollo?
What?
You didn't like it?
I was so disgusted by the idea of a realm retorn.
I have a very
love it
expressive
now.
face. Leave me alone.
We recently got the chance to speak with Final Fantasy XIV director and producer Naoki Yoshida, aka Yoshi-P, his in-game username to fans. That's not where that's from, but I'll leave that lie for, that's a lie, but it's okay. to talk about what it takes to make an MMORPG and the upcoming Dawn Trail expansion that will see us setting off to a completely new adventure. Yoshi-P was something the community just called him on the forums, if I remember correctly, because it's just shorter. Because it was.
It's a very common thing in Japan to go to give a shortened name and then P for producers of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's broken free.
His username in game is the name of his Lalafell, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
Was it?
Naoki Yoshida.
Well, that's his character. The Lalafell that we see is just always called like Yoshi-P Sample, which is Yoshi-P Walk.
Oh, right. Developing something on such a huge scale is truly momentous. Is a truly momentous undertaking. So, what has Yoshida learned over the last decade of the game? If I had to give one example to Naoki Yoshida from 13 years ago, I would have told him that you need to be careful about packing, he tells us. Oh, yeah? When we look at MMO development, it differs from a standalone game in that when you're going through the development process for a standalone game, it's just very much a short-timed sprint. Whereas if you were to give an analogy for an MMO, it's more that you are participating in a marathon. You're in it for the long run, and you have to pace yourself appropriately. You need to be able to plan which parts will be going uphill, which parts will work. With work would I be going downhill? Right? Yeah. What type of weather there would be, and so on. When it comes to MMO development, it's quite important to pace yourself properly and take care in the long run. However, having said that, probably the Naoki from 13 years ago, the only thing he knew is to run forward and to sprint all the way. So even if I gave myself that advice back then, I would think I would probably just end up sprinting anyway. So there you go.
What a Yoshi-P answer.
Yeah.
An analogy to like packing for a holiday, but then turning into a running thing. It means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing.
I've learned nothing, but I've learned
I don't even know what he means.
Yeah.
Other than that, MMOs are long-term commitments.
He loves analogies. It's just all he does. But hey, it's content. What did we get from this?
Nothing.
You have to be careful about
let's
packing.
practice our literacy real quick. What did we learn?
What did we learn here? When you look at MMO development, it differs from a standalone game in that when you're going through the development process for a standalone game, it's very much a short-timed sprint. Okay, here we go. Whereas if you're giving an analogy for an MMO, it's more that you're participating in a marathon.
Yeah.
So breaking it down, there's no end. There's no actual end.
Yeah.
Don't treat this like a single player game where you're like, after the expansion, like after we've finished all the patches here, we're done. Wrap it up, like blow our entire load. It's over. No.
Exactly.
This is a marathon. That was you've handed it the stick, You're next. Is that a marathon? No, that's
a relay race.
A relay race, yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
Marathon's the one where you run 20,
you just got the drink. Don't do that. No more gifts. No GIF. You're getting no GIF out of this. Okay, anyways, that's what we've learned. Okay, so pace yourself. The next chapter. Fortunately, he's taking all those lessons with him into the development of the next expansion. With Endwalker drawing the saga of Hydaelyn and Zodiark to a close, Dawn Trail marks a fresh beginning. But that doesn't mean that the themes of the game will be scaled back. It also turns out that we may never have got such a large-scale story arc in the first place. I think that it would be great if it's the beginning of something big, Yoshida tells us. I already have ideas potentially for 8.0 and 9.0 in my head, but when it comes to the question of whether this will become a long-spanning story arc, I think that depends on the reaction of the players. Oh, interesting. So he is considering returning to the old formula instead of Endwalker.
Depending on how people respond to this expansion, they could very easily wrap patch cycle, or they could keep it going.
Yeah,
depending on how it's written.
We have talked about this, but what would we prefer? What do you guys want? Do you want a long arc again, like we did from A Realm Reborn to Shadowbringers, or do you want Endwalker again?
I don't think I have a real preference, honestly. I mean, like if it works better as a shorter story, sure, fine. But if it's something they feel like they need to tell in a longer format, that's fine too. I just whatever they think is the best format is what I'm good with.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think I'm leaning.
But,
You go, Mela?
yeah, Mela.
I think I want like maybe a 2 or 3 expansion long cycles. I think with MMO stories, if it's wrapped up entirely within one expansion, it usually feels a little bit like the Void Arc patch cycle felt, where it was very crammed in and rushed.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I need them to commit to another
10 years.
massive arc. Yeah, because all love to Endwalker. Shadowbringers was better, wasn't it? So end it in a more satisfying way, maybe with a shorter cycle.
Right.
I think I would lean towards a shorter story, but if I am interested enough in what they've created, I could be open to it being expanded into a longer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't think we should have an arc as long as A Realm Reborn to Shadowbringers, because when the longer you run that arc, the bigger the expectation for the resolution at the end becomes, and they cannot live up to that. And I don't think
Endwalker was very good, but I don't think it lived up to the 10 years of like storyline.
They had to wrap up too much in too short a time. I still think that the way Zodiark was handled should have been deeper than it was, because
he was the main villain of the entire decade.
Yeah,
essentially.
That one I don't understand though, because like we knew he was dead in Shadowbringers. Like we're explicitly told. Like
well, that's where they started, because they started rapping in Shadowbringers. That's when they. I mean, they had no time. But if they
then
had,
you would have to put some of that blame on Shadowbringers as well.
Of course, it's the whole story, the whole arc is who I'm blaming. How the arc was paced was, they suddenly had to like wrap up a lot of stuff. We've had a long discussion about this. Garlemald
had to be wrapped.
I mean, I think Rollo and I have said this before, that we're pretty happy with how Endwalker played out overall.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised by the Zodiark stuff. It caught me off guard. That was neat still.
Yeah. See, I would say that I'm higher than just saying it was all right. I would be pretty high on Endwalker as a whole.
Yeah.
I put Shadowbringers above Endwalker.
Oh yeah, I do too.
That's fair.
Okay. Where are we? Okay, to give a little bit of context.
Getting ahead of us.
To give a little bit of context behind the answer, originally when we released A Realm Reborn, I wasn't actually sure if Final Fantasy XIV could be able to develop into a long-spanning saga, shares Yoshida. So we went on to create Heavensward, and we were working on things in the background. But it was only when we were in development of Stormblood that I came to the realization that we could create this into kind of an epic saga, and we could develop on this idea of the battle between light and darkness and create something really big for the players.
You thought that came up with that right during Stormblood?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose Heavensward was a little bit of a detour, wasn't it? Maybe they thought they were going to go into smaller expansions. And Stormblood in itself was also kind of standalone. That it was breaking everyone out of the Garlean Empire. But
that's what I mean.
Stormblood was still touching on the greater arc with Garlemald, at least.
Yeah, there was some hints. There was obviously the great thing with the Wars of Darkness, which we love.
Yeah. Yes. Heavensward actually, it was kind of like a little bit like Endwalker's like patch series, where it's like its own little story about the dragon.
It was very Song War.
Before getting ahead of ourselves, it was more a case of building in the right opportunities. Throughout the development, I had put in foreshadowing here and there with the hopes that we would eventually be able to deliver the future for the players. That we would be able to deliver in the future for the players, says Yoshida. But on the development of 14, it's more a case of we never just completely develop straightforward. We have elements of ad-lib here and there, but so sometimes we will switch things around. Sometimes we will switch things back. But the ultimate aim is that I have is to just create something that excites the players and eventually something that will be epic for our players. A lofty aim, and with Dawntrail already showing a ridiculous number of things to look forward to, we're excited for the future. We'll soon be exploring the continent of Tural, full of dense forests, vast mountain ranges, and a surprise cyberpunk city. In addition to the new areas and dungeons, there are 2 additional jobs, the dual blade-wielding Viper and the artist mage Pictomancer. A higher level cap, it's rising to 100, and a new casual type of content called Cosmic Exploration, a very shiny graphical update, and another race to play as. Well, another gender of a race, but yeah.
Another race to play as, and that'll
They refer to it as another race to play as on the official website.
Of course
which we
they
didn't
do.
talk about
That's-
they
yeah.
launched.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did just launch
Women,
that.
a whole nother race.
Mhm.
Everyone knows that.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Don't read the name of the section.
Yeah, well, I
No,
was
do, please.
debating it. Really feline it. That race isn't entirely new, as male Hrothgar has been in the game for some time now. But just as the last expansion saw the formerly female-only Vieira get their bunny boy counterparts, Dawn Trail will see players finally able to live out their strong cat lady dreams by playing as female Hrothgar. Though we nearly didn't get the fearsome athletic look, at one point in the design process, they were cute.
The C word.
Thank God.
Thank the 12 that they didn't go there. Yoshida explains the design process. In general, we always create an internal competition of sorts for our characters. So basically, they will just be tasked to pick up ideas of what they feel is representative. What we do is initially just create the lore, and we will give that information about the lore to the arts team, but we will not say anything about the appearance. We leave it up to them to come up with the designs of what they think would be appealing or what they think would be appropriate. And we did the same thing for Vieira, although admittedly for Vieira, we already had Fran from 12. So we also did the same thing as well for male Hrothgar. The proposed designs... Yeah, go on.
They've talked about this before, where they come up with design concepts, but they give them no real direction, and then they just make it a competition, and then they pick the one that they like the most.
Yes.
It's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
But then we get to see all of the concept art and see which ones we think would have been cool.
I can't wait to see the concept art and whatever book they do next with it, where I can be like, oh man, those Hrothgar did not look good. Or something.
Yeah. The proposed designs feature quite a lot of variation. If I recall correctly, for Hrothgar female, we had in general 8 types, which were proposed, and then from those 8 types, we narrowed it down to 3, continues Yoshida. I was really thinking which one would be good. I picked the final candidates, and then from there, we went on to work out the fine details. When we were going through that process, I was quite torn when I was thinking about which type to go for. There was one which was a little bit popular internally, which had a smaller type of build. This was more akin to, I wouldn't say fairy-like, but it was quite cute and it looked quite good.
Fairy-like?
I don't know about that.
I mean, he says he wouldn't say fairy-like, but I don't like that term came to mind.
When it comes to bodies, I can only think of bad things when you say fairy-like.
Yeah.
I can't think of
honestly.
any
Japanese developers cowed by the West again.
well, it just wouldn't fit the descriptions of like the female Hrothgar. As
Not how I imagine them in my head.
No, especially the matriarchal society.
Someone send this interview to that person.
Sorry, what did you say, Georgi?
Someone send that interview to that person that reacts to these things.
Oh, who reacts to that? Who is that?
I'm not saying them. I don't want to. I don't want to summon their presence.
Let's not do this here.
Okay. This was more stopped in the middle of the thing. But when I thought about the typical characteristics of a female Hrothgar, I thought there would already be some notion of them being strong and nimble, and so I was torn. But I eventually went for the current version, which you see now, and I chose something which had a more athletic build. But there is one important question that all players want to know: can they wear more hats?
Nope.
Regardless of whether it's male or female, we are working on increasing the number of hat variations that we have, Yoshida explains. Ultimately, there will be no difference between male and female. Currently, there are some types of headgear which they cannot wear, but we will make more variations so that they will be able to wear them.
Yeah, guys, it's not a gender thing, okay? So just cut it. It's just none of them can wear hats, and we can't be bothered to make them wear hats because we've come up with some weird ass system where their hair is their heads.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Did they need to release it quickly? Like, was female Viera released quicker than intended, and they've just not been able to fix it? I still can't wrap my head around why they can't wear hats.
Well, the
It's not
Hrothgar
just
one
an
was
air thing,
because-
is it?
The Hrothgar one was because they were going for a very specific look that they thought people would like, and turns out they didn't. The Vieira one, I don't know. I can only blame it on time constraints and the fact that they were creating two races at once.
Wait. Are you saying they thought people wouldn't want to wear hats as a Hrothgar?
I'm saying that they thought that people would appreciate the design decisions they made enough that they wouldn't care about it. But they were wrong.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were with
and then
the
they
time
immediately
had-
started releasing really cool headgear as prizes and stuff, and was Pikachu surprised Pikachu faced when people were like, "Wait, why can't my Hrothgar wear this cool item you've made?" It's very
but you
strange.
Look cool, so it's fine.
I still think the most insane thing is making the hairstyle tied to
Exactly.
the face.
Yeah,
Like
That clearly shows a lack of planning.
I don't get it.
I don't think it shows a lack of planning. I think they just didn't consider it. I think it shows
Well,
a
that
lack
is
of
a-
like.
lack of planning, though, wouldn't you say?
Game where like hairstyles are released very frequently, you know, like that's a big thing people like to customize the characters with.
Yeah.
I mean, I know hindsight's 2020, so you know, I wasn't in the development room,
Yeah.
but I just I don't know.
Yeah,
They were
I
clearly
think they were so internally enamored with the idea they had for them that they thought that like the hair being tied to the faces is so characteristic and important to each of their designs that they didn't think people would be bothered.
yeah.
This is why other MMOs that have like beta testing
Yeah.
are able to get more
some
community
feedback
feedback
from the
and
community.
so I think this is something that needed showing to people and then getting some feedback on.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know why they don't do it in this game because it's so much story and everything, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe just letting us run around a random zone as the characters in character creation, like
Well,
try on outfits and stuff.
I
We could have got more feedback.
I think they could have easily just been like, okay, so here's our idea for, you know, Hrothgar or a new race. How about a race that can't wear hats? And
No,
then
thank
people be
you.
like, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I still want to wear, you know, glasses and stuff, you know. But yeah.
I should say that that's not the case anymore for Hrothgar. They do have it's not tied to the face like it was before.
No, that's
They've
true.
worked
They
on
have,
it.
The hairstyle.
they have
That's
made
good.
changes to it. Okay. So we're gonna get a lot of.
I thought the base hairstyles for Hrothgar were still tied to their faces, though. Or can you have any of the base Hrothgar hairstyles with any of the base Hrothgar face meshes?
I think the base ones are still locked to the faces. It's
Okay,
the
that's what I thought.
unlockables.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Madness.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get a lot of posts from people when they play the new female Hrothgar and be like, "I can't wear X hat, help." There's gonna be a
I
lot
had
of
the
that.
perfect glamour setup.
Yeah, I had before Dawn Trail, I had made the perfect glamour setup for my Hrothgar, but
My Hrothgar picked him and
but my
some mane. I'm
Sugarloaf
mating
hat
it now.
is not showing on my.
Why can't I wear Sugarloaf hat?
All I want, the reason why I bought this game was to wear a Sugarloaf hat on my female Hrothgar. I can't wear it. I'm leaving. Okay, Sun's out. As well as a new adventure, Final Fantasy XIV will be getting a fresh look in the form of a graphical update. Environments and characters are set to have a serious makeover from Dawn Trail's release in summer. Though with the game being so large, this won't be an easy undertaking and will have to roll out in several stages. So why do it now? One major reason would be that with Endwalker, we were able to bring one big saga to a close. When we went through that process, we had players all over the world. They played out the game. They played our game, and they were able to see a clean conclusion to a story that had been spanning for such a long time. I think they would be happy to have seen that conclusion, but I think they probably must have also been a bit concerned about what will happen moving forward. Yoshida starts telling us, when players would see the graphics updates, they would realize that Final Fantasy XIV will still push on, and it will still continue driving forward to the future and take on new challenges. And in that regard, I think it would give players a sense of ease, so they would not need to worry about that. But it's not just for long-term players. For the next reason, when comparisons are drawn with our game compared to new games, which are coming out obviously from an official perspective, people would compare the visuals, says Yoshida. See, Yeah. Well, okay.
Honestly,
we'll
none
talk-
of this makes any sense, and it's just the most tangent Yoshi-P old man rant I've ever. Like, I had no clue. He was just listing random reasons.
Well, while only 2 new numbered Final Fantasy games have been released since, it's been quite a while since the MMORPG first launched. A Realm Reborn was released 10 years ago, and although when they compare it to the latest games which are out, or when they think that it's been released 10 years ago, that would give them kind of like a sense of notion that the quality of the game is low, and they would think of it as an old game, Yoshida continues. But the important thing with MMOs is that we need to constantly get new players in. Otherwise, the overall scale of our game would shrink. I also thought the graphics updates are really important to get the younger generation into Final Fantasy XIV. So by implementing the graphics update, we can actually improve the appeal of 14 to those types of players. And this is a good point. I mean, I noticed it for Endwalker. Actually, the first time I started to think like that was Shadowbringers for the trailer. Was when I first thought, now the game is starting to remind me of a specific moment in 11 when I was like, ooh, this game is starting to look old now. And that's true now. Like when I see, we have the fancy CGI cutscenes or the trailers, and then you get the MSQ cutscene and you see like, ooh, okay. It's getting old now. You see the aliasing, you see the like jaggies everywhere. You see I'll never forget the crusty Minecraft texture on Graha's arm when he was crafting up the Shadowbringers.
That's the thing. I feel like, I should say, I'm not a graphics pervert. That is the last thing I care about in a game these days.
Mm-hmm. Why use the word pervert?
Because that's what they are. Listen, some people, they're graphics perverts. Some people are like, oh my God, the fucking puddle. It doesn't splash when I step in it. Those are graphics perverts. You know?
Oh, you said puddle.
Yeah, I had to double take. Yeah, I heard butthole too.
You heard butthole? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard puddle.
I was surprised no one reacted. I was like, what?
Well, I didn't want to react, Mela, because I was scared that I misheard. But I'm glad we both misheard the same thing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like there is
I know what you mean.
A type of guy that is like that, and I
can appreciate good graphics though, but it's not. Like
I appreciate it when it's served.
I can too.
But,
but
the use of the term pervert made more sense when to butthole and not
that's
puddle.
True actually.
Yeah, that's true.
So stuck in the butthole.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm saying is I cannot get in the mindset, but the only thing that I think 14 really struggles, it's just like the really minor stuff in terms of like texture quality and like aliasing, like you said, but it's always had a really strong like art style and
visual
sense of
identity.
Direction. Yeah, where it's like
it's not aging.
Yeah, like I think it's good that they're doing the character update, right? Like that's cool. But if they focused on the other parts of the game, like just those, like the kind of world and terrain and maybe just some gear as well, just making sure it's like there's no like super low res stuff anymore. Like I think it would still age perfectly fine.
Well, they are doing that as well.
Yeah.
Everything you mentioned is also being updated.
I'm saying, if they just focused on that.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
I think I partially agree with you. Like it's nice for them doing the graphics update, but I think the shadows of trees and stuff, and just the fact that your shadow is perfect, but literally everyone else's is just a blob.
Reflections running at
and reflections at low FPS,
frame
things
rate.
like that. They're bad, but for me, the game feels most aged simply in its systems. Because of its ancient engine that's struggling along.
Yeah.
There's so much stopping you doing.
You can almost hear the gears turning when you click a button because it's trying to like load it up. Like the shared fates menu is crazy.
Oh, that was the worst.
Yeah.
And like it's funny though because the game is so janky, but they know it's janky because if you try and like use a potion while jumping or something, you'll get an error message. You cannot use a potion while jumping. They know you can't do all this shit.
Yeah. Well, that is probably because you need to cast. No, there's no casting time on a potion, is there? So that is strange.
That's there's so much,
isn't there?
No, there's not a casting time on potions, but there's a cooldown on them.
There's
so much in this game where you'll get an error message for doing something you think would just be normal.
Yeah,
I remember when we used to not be able to. We had to dismount ourselves manually to talk to people and do shit.
Yes.
Okay,
And even now, you still dismount to talk to people. You shouldn't have to.
True.
the menuing in this game can be very frustrating sometimes. Where it's like you can have like one dialogue box open or menu open. It's like you can't interact with the other one. You can have it open, but you cannot interact with it sometimes.
True.
So many system things that make this game feel
That's
clunky.
what I hope is stage 2 of the graphical update is a UI overhaul. Just clear it all up, because there's a lot of, and like the fact that there are some menus in the game that have their own like like the achievements menu.
Good.
They have like a whole thing, but then you have also the old system with the gray and like very like weird like
Thank
very
God
old
for
PS3
Crystal
menus.
Blue or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, the aliasing though.
Aliasing's horrendous.
needed.
It's so bad.
Well,
We
because
need
it's only two
anti-aliasing.
options. It's either unaliased, which is like okay, it's unaliased.
Yeah.
Or FXAA, which is like it's the cheapest in terms of resource using, but it's the most Vaseline looking blurry ass shit.
It doesn't look, but it doesn't really solve it either.
It doesn't. It's still.
Yeah.
Please sort out aliasing and shadows. That's all this game needs to sort out graphically.
And reflections. I hope, because
And
now
reflections,
we're going to get more reflections now probably with.
I hope they all run at 15 FPS.
No, please. you need to
Every
fix them.
wall that I look
They
at
are.
will be
They are so, and that's not an aesthetic thing that I'm asking for. It's so distracting. It's so like you see this like weird like delayed reflection below you if the floor is shiny. It's very very distracting.
The funniest part in the reflections in this game is that system things reflect, like the markers of NPCs.
Oh yeah.
Why do they reflect?
Yeah, everything.
It's real. It's in the
That's
world.
true.
Yeah,
It's
apparently
in the
well.
world. Yeah. Okay. It's not just the players who benefit, but the development team as well. There is a third reason, and this is like I wouldn't say so much of a problem for our development team, but it's in terms of the mentality that we have in the development team, says Yoshida.
Why am I looking at such an ugly game?
A Realm Reborn was released back in 2013, and when we look at the graphics pipeline, it's now 2 generations old. The artists who are working on Final Fantasy XIV, I wanted to give them a better environment.
Yeah, so I was right.
By being able to work on more advanced graphics technology, they can advance their career, and they can also be able to work with the newer features.
Leave them alone.
Well, I mean, yeah, no.
Imagine that. No, but imagine that you're one of these graphics artists, and like you're looking for, you want to move on from 14. You've enjoyed your time, but you want a new job, and then you go and it's like, yeah, I'm working on 14, and then the interviewer's like, ugly.
No.
Give me something more advanced.
Yeah, but you're probably right. They're working on 2 generations old graphics, so they have no experience.
I'm just
in, like,
exaggerating.
Okay.
Essentially, what they're doing is working on a PS3 pipeline.
Yeah,
still,
that's
probably.
what they're doing, essentially.
Do you remember I think it was like during Heavensward maybe, where like Yoshi-P, or maybe in Starblood, Yoshi-P was like, we can't do the graphics update. We can't update textures. We know it's ugly because we worked at the resolution of the in-game textures. And we were painting at 256 by 256. And I'm like, you're either lying or just that's an insane pipeline development pipeline, a modern one. Like if you said that in like 2004
game.
Yeah.
If you said that in 2004 for Square Enix, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that was 2004 Square Enix. But to do that now,
I remember when we covered this the first time.
Take a picture of some grass.
I think he was just lying.
When that's what we were in disbelief when we read that story on this podcast, because we like, there's no way. But I think, I mean, they haven't.
I think it was true.
Yeah, I think it was true.
I think it's true.
And that's why
Have
it's taken so fucking long. They have to make
clout.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That has to be why they're so. Everything looks so shit. Still, like we got. Remember, Graha.
They're still doing that, Rollo.
Graha's arm close up.
Yeah.
Just pixels, and they're like, no.
How do
no.
you paint? How do you paint that?
Go to Palace of the Dead or any of the deep dungeons, and you'll see how good the pixel art is of all the classes.
Yeah.
That is proof that they're still working in the pixel art game mode.
Yeah. That's
how you know. What I think actually happened, maybe the interview from long ago was just mistranslated or something, is that they did the original resolution and then they downsized it to the 256 by 256 or whatever, 500 by 500.
Yeah.
And then that's all they kept.
Yeah, that's also
Because
possible.
again,
Yeah.
the
You're right,
idea
though.
of like someone's big ass Wacom tablet and they're like drawing on a 256 by 250. What's happening?
That is
Yeah,
very.
but think about how much like file space they saved, and they only needed cheap
Yeah.
cameras for taking a picture of the grass because they just zoomed in really
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, I mean, Square
this
Enix.
game is going to balloon. Is going to balloon in its size and be double the size when it comes 7.0.
Oh, it's going to be horrendous. We're going to get like 512 by 512 textures.
Do we not have an updated specs, like a file size requirement
We
for
do.
14 now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, the file size requirement. I don't know if we have the updated
no.
file size requirement.
Because that will be
yet.
But
interesting.
they gave minimum specs for your system.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So we'll just put a cap on that. Like if it's true that they literally worked at the resolution, or if they've deleted all of the original textures, they've had to have made all of these from scratch again. They've had. That's why it's
Good on
taken
them.
so long,
Insane.
probably. Yeah.
Why would you have a pipeline like that? That's horrible.
I agree.
So
It's
here's the
fucked.
issue, I think, Rollo, is that I think it's very possible that they had some of those textures from 1.0. They were reusing them in 2.0, and they just could not. They didn't have the original resources anymore, so they had to work at that size.
Probably. But it
They
also.
actually, no, they can just upscale them. The 256 ones, they can just upscale them, so it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that'll be fine. That'll look lovely.
It'll be great.
Okay. So there's a benefit for both in the sense that players can benefit from better quality and graphics, but our artists and engineers in the team can benefit by using more advanced technology and advance their careers. From that side of things as well, there's also efficiencies which we will gain by using better graphical technology. Overall, the graphics update is quite a difficult endeavor, but I think it's because of those benefits we really want to give it our best and see it through. The graphical overhaul joins technical improvements we've been enjoying. Any, Mela?
Oh, just he repeats himself so much during that.
Yeah.
I was going insane reading through it.
Oh yeah, Mela's transcribed this, by the way. Or yeah, so this was from a written.
That's why Lukia's
a printed
struggling to
magazine.
read it, because there are typos here and there.
Yeah, the graphical overhaul joins technical improvements we've been enjoying on PS5 since that version launched in 2021. We had optimized our graphics pipeline for the PlayStation 5 version, and we also used the benefits of the PlayStation 5 SSD. The SSD has a very efficient I/O, which is a technical term for inputs and outputs. The reading of the data on the PlayStation 5 is extremely fast, and we will continue to make the best of that moving forwards as well when it comes to the PlayStation 5 version as well, says Yoshida.
Thank you for acknowledging how good the SSD is on the PlayStation 5. I'm glad to
That's
see
true.
someone appreciates it.
We introduced several graphics options which give almost the same playing experience as on PC. Players can expect to continue enjoying these kinds of graphic experiences on the PlayStation 5 moving forward.
I feel like Sony had a gun on him during that final part of the...
Yeah.
What are you
Talk about the
doing?
SSD.
PS5 is-
Talk about the SSD. All right,
Try and
gearing
get
up.
some sales.
Last bit. It's reassuring that Yoshida is keeping both the future of the game and of his team in mind. Players also play a big part in shaping the future, as Yoshida makes sure he takes their feedback into account. For example, the approach to relic weapons, one of the most prestigious types you can earn in the wild, has changed
Not
with every
anymore.
expansion, and is set to change once again in Dawn Trail thanks to player feedback. Naturally, I'm not able to give any concrete information for the relic weapon quests because it's still in the planning process, Yoshida tells us. I do appreciate that some people do say that it's too easy in Endwalker, but on the other hand, generally, players are playing many jobs on a single character, so although the weapon itself is easy to make, they can benefit from being able to enhance several weapons for different jobs on the same character.
Cop-out answer that is. It's such a cop-out answer.
We
You could just
have
make
talked
the first step harder. and then the
Exactly.
Exactly.
That-
so easy.
They
The
did it
solution is
so
right
well in
there.
Stormblood and Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No. But on the other hand, when we think about players who have been playing for a long time, I think for a lot of them, what really sticks in their memory is the original Zodiac weapons and how difficult it
Nice
was
spelling, Mela.
to, like, for example, collect all of the materials and to enhance those weapons. And so when we think about it that way, it's great for the players to be able to kind of reminisce on that kind of aspect. I want to reiterate that I'm not going to make it exactly the same as it was originally, but I do appreciate that it gives a sense of reward to the players, so I would like to keep that in mind. We're currently
We're
proceeding...
not asking for it the same as the original. Well, Mailer and I are asking for books.
We are.
But we want it to be of the same scale of difficulty.
Yes.
Each step was, in the Zodiac ones, each step was a vastly different grind.
Yeah.
And whether you enjoy them or not, it's irrelevant to the fact that they were unique and somewhat interesting.
Yes. We're currently proceeding with our planning for the new content, but I will also add that we will have various routes in place in terms of the methods to enhance the weapons. Over 10 years since its launch, Final Fantasy XIV is an... that's
just...
yeah, okay. So there you go. We're getting...
different methods. Yeah, that's
Various
good.
routes implies more than 2, but I suspect it will only be 2.
Probably.
It'll be an inside our special new content and then an outside our special new content, probably, if that's what they're planning.
Probably. I hope
But
it's
books
something like
are fantastic.
Yeah.
So they would be welcomed back.
If that's an
I like...
that's fine.
All relics suck.
Yeah. I like the part where... the most interesting part of this to me, to be honest, was where he was talking about taking into consideration not just what's beneficial for the players, but also for his employees, to be honest.
That's true. Yeah. That is a fair point.
Yeah.
I think tying them in... it was a... Imagine if this didn't have Hildebrand.
What do you mean?
What?
The game?
Was that?
Imagine if the relics this time round were a non like Hildebrand. Like, there was,
okay.
It was how it is now, but standalone or with like a new storyline just for the relic. It would have been rubbish.
What? Oh, because it would have the same system.
It's just getting the tomes, but it would just have like a tacked on story as well.
Yeah.
So this one only worked out well because it had Hildebrand.
Yeah, because it feels less serious, I guess.
I mean, I would argue that it didn't even work out well with Hildebrand.
no,
but
that's true.
Without it, it would have been worse.
Yeah. So they need to come up with something better next time. The old storylines were good. Heavensward and the Realm Reborn ones were interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anima was unusual.
Anima is unusual because I was going to say I didn't really care for the explanation in Eureka. I'm okay with the
Queen's Blade stuff.
Queen's Blade stuff.
Yeah, I'm okay with it, but it's still... I feel like Eureka and Bosnia ones weren't very relic-y and were like, cool weapon +1. Whereas like the old ones felt more like actual relics.
It felt like for the Bosnia ones, it's like, okay, we're doing all the resistance stuff. By the way, they had some cool weapons, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, it doesn't matter though. We got to keep going. So
Yeah.
And that was starting to be good though, because like, did they have cool weapons? Can I get some lore about those cool weapons? No. You've made a replica and it's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I think that's my similar issue, Mailer, is that like there is potential for context that they didn't give us.
Yeah.
The relic lore has always been interesting in the early ones. Like, Realm Reborn ones were like super unique and all had little bits of lore about like the Lilith rod and it was good.
I worry that we're losing Mailer just because in the same way that we're losing quests, a lot of text to write for various different with the amount of jobs we have now.
I appreciate that. It's difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go. That was the Yoshi-P interview with what was it again?
Play Magazine.
Play Magazine. Right. That's the show as well. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Remember to follow on Twitter at SpeakersXIV, twitch.tv/SpeakersOfIreland, YouTube.com /SpeakersXIV, ! Discord in chat if you want to join our Discord server. If you watch on man, links in the description. Remember to send us MogMail, speakersxiv.com/MogMail if you have any questions or anything you want to tell us. speakersxiv.com/MogMail. And if you're watching live, a post show is coming up. We'll see you there. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, Rollo.
Happy birthday, Rollo.